management, and earlier this year, Hyundai announced their lineup, which essentially was 3 crossovers, look pretty good, and a van, a very beautiful van, I might add. There was a rumor that there was going to be a 5th car launched pretty soon. What and when? Really had no clue. Today we know the when, and the what, ladies and gentlemen, is this. This is the 2022 Hyundai Stargazer. It's Hyundai's entry into the MPV segment, which is, well, you've got the established players there already. You've got the Livina, which is actually pretty new. You've got the Expander, you've got the Ertiga, and of course you've got the Vela. So this is what they're hoping to push up against those established four and make a name out of for themselves. Today's walk around, I want to take you through the exterior, the interior, and give you some form of a driving impression of it. Although we can't do really much, we are in a private subdivision somewhere in the south, but we'll do our very best. Let's start, shall we? Up front, it's unmistakably Hyundai because the front clip is, dare I say, it's borrowed. It's actually like a mirror of the Staria, which is one of the 4 cars that Hyundai has launched, thanks to this DRL or lights found here up on top. To be more specific, the DRLs are actually here and here. This center light, although it does work, it only goes on when you turn your headlamps on. And then these guys dim a little bit your DRLs to make it one really complete line. Then you've got a blacked out grille here, which is actually very nice. A lot of textures, I like it, very, very different. It's got some style that might be familiar. I know that this part right here, this X kind of looks like the Expander to you. Yeah, I get that too. But the headlamps are completely different in configuration. You've got your signal lights here. These are your lights. These are your brights, which are all LED, but they're thrown LED. And then this is a halogen fog lamp found down below. Now, if you were to take it down the side as you will, oh, no. Before I take it down the side, important to note what is underneath. Underneath is a 1.5 liter naturally aspirated gasoline engine that produces 112 horses and 144 Newton meters of torque. Now, compared to the other MPVs out in the market, we checked, this actually has the most horses and the most amount of torque. So it would be interesting how it drives. And it also is paired to a IVT, which is essentially an CVT. I gotta tell you, up and down the line, it's the exact same engine and the exact same transmission. So there is no manual variant of this particular car. There are 3 variants available. There is a 7-seater, which is the top of the line, and the 2 lower variants are only 5-seaters. Got it? Good. Okay, so let's take you down the side. Down the side, you've got 16-inch wheels, which are on, if I'm not mistaken, 55 series tires. Yes, that's right. Discs up front and drum at the rear. The ground clearance is 185 millimeters, which is pretty standard, really. You got repeaters on your side mirror, and then this I quite like. There is a cut that starts from the front clip, and then it kind of fades while it gets here. Right about down to this middle part right here, it's gone. And then it repeats itself once again and comes to the side. That I think is pretty cool. It's sort of like there but not there. The one that's really there is the cut down below. But that kind of fade, I like that. And then there's also something on the side that I've never actually seen on an MPV before, which is here on the D pillar. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I know I've never have, only on pictures, but it kind of reminds me of the pyramids at the Louvre where they kind of meet each other. Ain't that pretty cool? And it actually gives the entire side profile actually a very distinct look. I quite like it. Here at the back, there is also one other distinct feature. When you're looking at the car head on from the back, I don't know if Jack's getting the right angle or not, but when you're looking at it head on, it forms a letter H, so to speak, especially when your park lights are on, because this part on the side comes on, this entire center light comes on, much like a European car, and this also comes down. So it looks like a very large letter H to, well, that. When you open her up, now mind you, this is the top of the line version, so it is the 7-seater. Behind rows 6, or rather seats 6 and 7, you're looking at roughly about 200 liters of space. Really not much, but it does ever so slightly expand a little when you put some cubby, you've got cubby holes here to put some toys and tools and whatnot. When you fold her though, you are looking at over 580 liters of space, 585 actually to be exact. And then obviously when you fold the second row, I'm sure that you're looking at over 1,000 liters of space, to be honest with you. Let's jump into the automobile so that I can show you guys just exactly how the third row feels and if it's spacious enough for even taller adults. Oh, speaking of space, if you're actually wondering about the entire size of the automobile, well, I did the calculations, and in total it's about at most an inch and a half, either plus or minus in height, length, wheelbase and whatnot to that of the expander. So if you've seen MPVs on the road, that's essentially how big this automobile is. Okay, so space in the third row is as typical as you would find in an MPV. I'm a very small adult, so my knees are pretty much touching already the seats in front of me. But these guys do slide forward. Joey, could you slide the seats forward? You can slide them forward to give you just a little bit of space. There you go. Thank you very much. The seat material is the same all around the cabin. It's leatherette, so it's pretty decent. There are no air vents for the third passenger, so it's air vents for the second and third row kind of a thing. But you do have cubby holes of your own back here, and also a 12-volt socket, and of course seat belts on the lower. It's again typical of an MPV, good for short trips, not really that great for longer rides. Ingress and egress from the third row is actually made very simple because the second row, like other MPVs, does tumble forward very easily, and then obviously you can push it back, so that's nice. There is a center armrest, but no cup holders there because there's like 3 cup holders on each door. No, sorry, 4. There's like 3 on the door card and 1 here up on top. That's nuts. The one bottle holder up on top can actually carry pretty large bottles base-wise, and then there's the 3 that can fit down there. Actually pretty nice. Oh my gosh, I got the leather wet. I hope they don't get mad at us. Toys back here. There's actually more toys than I thought inside this MPV. Apart from the bottle holders on either door and the speakers on either door, then you've got the center armrest. You also have, check this out, a nice tray if this comes up. Yep. Now, it can only carry about 3.5 kilos, but it's nice to have. I like the fact that it's standard equipment. And then also, once I fold that, you have 2 USB charging points, which I like. So which means that not only the second row has charging points, but you have also charging points for the third row. So whether you have passengers in the back that need to charge their devices, or if, let's say, for example, you have a cooler that you plug in and it cools itself off, that's actually very important. And then, of course, you have your fan controls and your air vents found here up on top. That's pretty cool. Room is decent. There's no tunnel to speak of, so getting in and out for the third passenger is not going to be an issue. The seats feel firm. The leather is, well, decent enough. Again, still standard with much other MPVs, but what I do like is that there's a few bit more amenities found inside the car. Let's move on to the driver. Now, for the driver, I gotta tell you, a very unique steering wheel. I've never seen a steering wheel like this ever before. It feels like this steering wheel doesn't actually belong in an MPV. It feels like it belongs in like a Veloster or something, really. It's actually pretty cool. To the touch, it's okay. I think the material would have been better suited if it were actually better leather, but it's not bad, to be honest with you. Now, from what we can see, okay, so you have an 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system that doubles as your reverse camera, and it also has Android and Apple capabilities. You have a 4.2-inch digital trip computer that flanks digital speedometers and tachometers as well, so that's nice. The only thing that's kind of weird is this entire housing up here. It is quite large, but I will tell you, regardless of how large that is, whether it tickles your fancy or not, it does not impede your view at all. No, but we'll get to that a little bit later when we're driving. But on to what it is that you have in here. You have it feels like it's brushed aluminum. That's really nice on the air vents and whatnot. Your air controls are very, very simple. You have a USB charging point here, 12-volt socket, and something that you don't quite often see in a MPV, which is a wireless charging pad. That's actually pretty cool. And then also, another cool feature is when you've got the lights on. I'm going to turn the lights on right now. I don't know if you can see it, but there are lights that come on for the bottle holders, and what that does is like illuminates the bottle ever so slightly. Yeah, you can say it's a gimmick, but it's actually a pretty cool gimmick if you ask me. Oh, and another thing, um, this will probably speak to those that are probably my age or at most maybe 5 years younger than I am. Okay, so that's definitely not Jack. You guys, I remember going to school and getting those really kick-ass pencil boxes with so many like compartments and whatnot. That's exactly what this car is. Look at this clean line right here, and then it's got like a secret compartment, just like those pencil boxes from days of yore. What you guys are not seeing right now behind the camera is Jack is laughing his ass off because
I know what that is.
you can't relate. You used
no,
to have one?
I had one of those.
Okay, he had one. Okay.
Yeah, there's like a secret sharpener and
That's
stuff
right.
Like that. Yeah.
Secret compartments and whatnot. So that's what it really reminds me of. Like I mentioned, all of them do come with IVTs or basically a CVT. So it's all automatic transmission for all the automobiles. That's really it. That's all to report from the front. Oh, apart from the door cards inside, or rather for the front passengers, are the same as the door cards for the rear passengers, which is you can fit like 3 bottles in there. I don't know if Jack can you see that? And then there's yet another. It's like if this car were around during the Prohibition, it would be great because you could hide so many bottles of liquor inside the automobile. Not that you should. I'm not saying Dukes of Hazzard or anything like that. Anyway, enough with this chit-chat. Let's chit-chat some more on the road when I give you my first impressions of what this car is like to drive very briefly inside a private subdivision. Oh, and if you like this video, do consider subscribing to our channel because we create all of our videos just for you guys. In the very limited amount of driving that we can do inside this private subdivision, and we can't really go past 40 kilometers per hour, which every once in a while I'm kind of close to actually exceeding. Shh, don't tell anyone. The first thing that I noticed, because I'm speaking to you guys, and rather the camera, is that there is an echo inside this cabin. It's not a bad echo, it's just that something that I'm not accustomed to hearing. And I figured that I chalk it up to the fact that this are leather seats in here, so if it were cloth, the sound would be better absorbed. But no, not really. And then we figured it's because, well, the cabin is just so large that it has no choice but to echo, which just basically means headroom is, look at it, it's excellent. Look, oh my gosh, it really is excellent. Look at that. I'm now going to bring the car down to about 15 kilometers per hour, and I'm going to simulate what traffic is like on, well, EDSA, unfortunately. And we're going to stop, and then we're going to go. It's actually quite responsive. It's not like you don't feel much of a rubber band effect, which is great. So again, this is an IVT, which is an intelligent variable transmission, which is basically a CVT or a continuously variable transmission in other cars. So yeah, it feels like it doesn't feel heavy. The car doesn't feel heavy at all. And in stop and go traffic, yeah, it feels like it's pretty easy to drive. As to it's easy to handle too because the steering is actually quite light. I likened it to even lighter than that of the Expander, which is one of the lighter ones that we feel. And well, like any good car, obviously it centers itself again. So far as I'm driving it not very quickly and stop and go, I'm simulating stop and go traffic, it's pretty easy to drive actually. And visibility is pretty good whether you're going fast, which I'm not, or stuck in traffic trying to make corners and whatnot like I am right now, because there are quarter windows on the A-pillars, which makes visibility pretty good. And then the side mirrors obviously are not mounted directly onto the car. There's a bit of a space, so that adds even more view to when you're looking out on the left or on the right. So I like that. And I guess really inside a subdivision, the last thing you can do is test just exactly how strong the stopping power of the car is. So we're going to bring it slowly down to 15 kilometers per hour. Nothing, nothing grand or anything. And then jab on the brakes.
Oh jeez.
Is everybody okay?
Yeah.
It works. It's good.
Okay. Strong brakes.
Good brakes. Good brakes. Now, I know these tests that we've just done is basically, well, almost like a joke, but what do you expect? There's really not much driving that we can do if you're forced to hit a maximum of 40 kilometers per hour and nothing more, and inside a private subdivision. So we'll obviously have more driving feedback for you guys when we get this car for a proper review. But now, I guess the one and only question that remains is probably one of the more important ones. The last thing we want to be able to tell you before we end this video is just exactly how much the Stargazer is going to be. Unfortunately, we don't know. As of this very moment, as of shooting this right now, we haven't been given the price. All that we've been told is that it's going to be, the usual, very competitive in the market, which, okay, granted. But now me doesn't know, but future me does know, and the price is, well, to be honest with you, I can't see it because that's all graphics. So I'm seeing the price of this car for the very first time at the same time you guys are. And I would like to know, if you would, in the comments below, what do you think about that price? Consider the fact that there are 3 variants of this car. They're all automatic. Only the top of the line has 7 seats. They all have CVTs. And mind you, in the naturally aspirated market, this has the most amount of horsepower and torque. So is the price warranted? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe. We'll see you soon.